friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. Today's video is going to be the highly requested comparing all of my Sugarpill Capsule palettes video. I wasn't initially going to do this just because I do physically have all the palettes and I can physically see what is and isn't similar, so I didn't feel like anything was similar enough that it warranted a video, but it got requested enough times, so I was like, you know what? Let's give the people what they want. So that's what I'm going to do today. I have all 4 of the Sugarpill Capsule palettes. I'm going to swatch compare everything that is similar between them. For the heck of it, I'm also going to compare anything that's similar with the Fun Size palette. Spoiler alert, there aren't that many things that are similar in these palettes that reflect in the Fun Size. And I also do have some individual single pro pan eyeshadows from Sugarpill, so a couple things I included as well, but again, spoiler alert, there aren't that many similar things in the singles versus the palettes. Before we get too deep into the video, I did of course film this look. It's part of my 2 looks 1 palette with the Anniversary Capsule palette. That should already be up on my channel by the time this video goes up. And also this wig is a Chrisma brand wig. Check my FAQ in the description box if you need spelling. I'm actually really excited about this video. I did very close up and personal swatch comparison so you can really get a good visual on what is and isn't similar. Hopefully it's helpful. At the end of the day, this video is just to maybe help you make a decision if you were deciding if you needed multiple of these palettes, which one you wanted in general, things like that. I do have first impressions videos, multiple looks videos, and probably an Instagram video with all of these, if not most of these. I'm not sure about the Instagram video, but I do at the very least have a first impressions and a multiple looks video with all 4 of these palettes. Also the Fun Size palette. So if you need inspiration, go check those videos out. I feel like I've played with these palettes very thoroughly. I'm honestly in love with all of them. I think the capsule palettes were such a good idea for Sugarpill. I feel like they always get my creative juices flowing. Even if I'm not sure about the palette once I open it, it always just sparks so much creativity. I always love the looks that I create. I've never had a problem with the formula. The mattes are very soft and blendable, similar to the formula that's in the Fun Size palette. It's a very just soft, easy to work with formula. The Pro Pans, in my opinion, are also easy to work with. They're very bright and colorful, but it is a drier formula, so it's just a different type of formulation. These are a lot more soft. And the shimmers in the capsule palette, they shine so much. I don't know why Sugarpill wasn't really producing a lot of shimmers before this, because they do such a good job. They're very glassy and wet looking. They're very dimethicone-y. I love the capsule palettes with my whole heart. At the end of the video, I'll rank them for you so you can know like which one's my personal favorite. A lot of you probably already know which one's my favorite because I've already said it 100 times, but in case you're new, I will go over like just my favorites, pros and cons, things like that at the end of the video. Anyways, I think I got all of that intro nonsense out of the way. Now you know the premise of the video, my preface thoughts. I guess let's just hop in and do some swatch comparisons. All right, let's do this. Starting down the line, we're gonna start with Glory, this kind of light neutrally pink shade from the Pink Capsule palette. I'm gonna compare that one with a couple other neutrally things. There are no exact dupes, but I'm gonna compare it to this side eye one from the Orange Capsule palette and from the Anniversary Capsule palette. I'm going to compare it to this mauvey neutral shade, DTLA. So yeah, that's Anniversary. This one is the Pink Capsule palette shade, this is the Orange Capsule palette shade, and this is the Anniversary Capsule palette shade. As you can see, none of them are exactly the same, but they are kind of in that just like neutrally realm, but they're all completely different undertones. All right, moving on to our second comparison back in the Pink palette. This is the palette we're going to focus on first since it is the first one. So I dropped my palette a long time ago, many times actually, and both of these shades popped out. This was like a very bright yellowy green shimmer, and this one's kind of like a purpley iridescent kind of thing. This one's actually supposed to be here, but I put it in the wrong pan and my light green completely shattered. The good news is this wasn't the same as anything else. There is a light green shimmer in the Orange Capsule palette, but there's no other green shimmers in these palettes, and this one is more green. The other one was more of a yellow green, so I'm sorry I can't swatch compare them, but that is that. But moving on, we are going to talk about the light green in the Pink Capsule palette. This one is called Radiate. With that in the Black Capsule palette, I'm going to compare it to this green one, which is called Oogie. Also in the Anniversary Capsule, I'm going to compare it to this one called Cali. Also, just for fun, I'm going to compare it to Twitch from the Fun Size palette, and I'll also compare it to Arsenic, the single shadow. All right, here are these shades swatched out. This is the one from the Pink Capsule palette. This is from the Black Capsule palette. This is the Anniversary Capsule palette, this is from the Fun Size palette, and this is the single shadow Arsenic. As you can see, they're all pretty different. I feel like Arsenic is kind of similar to the Pink Capsule palette one, but they're still like different enough. I feel like Arsenic's just a little bit deeper, but yeah, all completely different undertones. All right, back to our pink capsule palette here. We're gonna take this shade, which is supposed to be here, called Supernova. It's kind of a light purpley iridescent kind of shimmer. There aren't too many things similar to that one, but I'm gonna compare it to the one in the Anniversary capsule palette, this purple shimmer. This one is called Addicted to Pretty. And I also wanna compare it to this single shadow called Flurry, because it's also kind of a light, shimmery purple duochrome kind of thing. And here are those. We have the pink capsule palette here, the Anniversary capsule palette, and that single shadow Flurry. I feel like they're all pretty different, especially the Anniversary one, but they all have a different kind of thing going for them. All right, moving on back to the pink capsule palette. We're gonna take Baby Doll now, which is kind of the light lavendery periwinkle shade. It's very pale, very pastel. There's nothing else similar to that in the other capsule palettes, but I will compare it to 8-Bit from the Fun Size palette. I'm also gonna compare it to Valoria, the single shadow. So here we have the pink capsule palette shadow, the Fun Size palette shadow, and the single shadow Valoria. I feel like they all do look pretty similar, but there are slight differences. The pink capsule's a little bit lighter, and Valoria's a little bit more lavender than periwinkle, but they're all kind of in the same realm. All right, back at it again, pink capsule palette. We're gonna take the purple down here and compare it. This one is called Undone. Going to compare that to Coven and Gloomy in the black capsule palette. Also the shade Pill Kitty in the Anniversary. And just for fun, also Player One from the Fun Size palette, and the single shadows Poison Plum and 16. All right, a lot of swatches to unpack here. This is the one from the pink capsule palette. This is the black capsule. This is the little shade in the black capsule and the big shade in the black capsule. This is the Anniversary capsule palette. This is the Fun Size palette. This is Poison Plum single shadow, and this is 16 single shadow. I feel like everything's pretty different. I feel like the Anniversary capsule palette purple and the pink capsule palette purple are kind of similar. I feel like the Anniversary one's a little bit more jammy, a little bit more like kind of red tone, but they're very similar. And I also feel like Player One from the Fun Size palette is kind of similar to the large shade in the black capsule palette. I think this one's called Gloomy. But again, they're slightly different in undertone. This one's a little more pinky, this one's a little more purple. But yeah, there's all those swatches for you. All right, back again. We are going to compare the blushes in each palette now. I'm not gonna pick up every palette because that's unnecessary, but just the big shade that's in all of the palettes is the blush. That's what we're gonna compare now. All right, here we have the pink capsule palette, the orange capsule palette, the black capsule palette, and the Anniversary capsule palette. I personally like the orange capsule palette one the most. I love a peachy blush. All the other ones are definitely very similar, especially looking at them laid out, but they do have slightly different undertones, but they're all like warm rosy pinks at the end of the day. But there they are in case you were curious. All right, back again to our pink palette. I'm gonna take Dream State now, which this is honestly not similar to anything else in this lineup here, but I'm still gonna compare it. I'm gonna compare it to kind of like the pinky shimmer things. From the orange capsule palette, I'm gonna take Elevate. I feel like I haven't had to pick this one up too much so far for comparisons. And then in the Anniversary palette, I'm gonna be comparing it with Shrinkle and Hi Cutie. Again, they're all pretty different. This one is the pink capsule palette, this one is the orange capsule palette, and both of these are the Anniversary. This one is Shrinkle and this one is Hi Cutie. They're all a very different kind of thing, and I hesitate to even call the pink capsule one pink because it's almost like its own thing in itself. It's a very cool, shifty duochrome. But yeah, there they are. They're all very different, very unique to themselves. All right, back at it again to the pink capsule palette. Now we're gonna take all of the shimmer blues. This one in particular is called Cloud 9 and it's beautiful. Hopping into our orange palette now, we are going to take this one called Skyrise and also this Moonshine one. I feel like this one isn't really blue, but it's also its own entirely different entity, but it does have a blue shift, so that's why I'm going to include it now. And now hopping into the black palette, we're going to take Ritual here and Hex here. Hex is more of like a purpley kind of blue situation, but it's not similar to anything else in this whole lineup, so that's why I'm gonna throw it in now. Ooh, these shimmers all look so pretty, don't they? This one is the pink capsule palette. These two are the orange capsule palette. Obviously, this is the one that's more of that like brownie duochrome, but it does have a little bit of a blue shift. And then these two are from the black capsule palette. And nothing's really similar. They're all a completely different tone of blue. I feel like maybe Ritual and that orange capsule one are kind of similar, but I feel like they have a different level of sparkliness and just a little bit different of a tone. They're all very beautiful. I love the blues in all these palettes. All right, rounding out the pink capsule palette, now we are going over the matte blue shades. This one in particular is called Slow Dive. Hopping into the black capsule palette, I'm gonna compare that with Purgatory. And in the Anniversary palette, we're gonna compare that one to After Party 2020. And then just for the fun of it, I'll compare it to Velocity, the single shadow. All right, so here we have pink capsule, we have the black capsule, we have the anniversary capsule, and we have the single shadow velocity. Again, all very different in tone. Velocity is similar-ish to the pink capsule, but it's a different undertone. It's not the same shade, so there are those blue mattes. I feel like I got the most questions about the similarities between the blue mattes, and there are not really any, so there you have it. All right, moving on down the line to the orange one. The pink one is now set aside for the video, and now I'm just gonna kind of go through all the shades that I haven't already compared previously. So we're gonna start with this like peachy orangey one. This one is called Karma. With that, I'm gonna hop into the anniversary palette and compare that to Lacy. And just for the heck of it, I'm gonna compare it to the single shadow Suburbia. So here we have the orange capsule palette, the anniversary capsule palette, and the single shadow Suburbia. They're all quite different, very much their own unique peachy kind of undertone. All right, back to the orange capsule. We're gonna compare the yellow shade called Metro. I'm gonna compare this one to Grim from the black capsule palette. I'll also compare this one to Continue from the Fun Size palette, and also the single shadow Butter Cupcake. Here we have the orange capsule palette, the black capsule palette, the Fun Size palette, and also the single shadow Butter Cupcake. They are all completely different tones of yellow. They all make me so, so happy, especially the black capsule palette one. I love that grungy color. I love all of these yellows so incredibly much. All right, back to the orange capsule. We're gonna compare the shimmer green. This one is called Insomniac. Again, in that pink capsule palette, there is like a light yellowy green, limey green shimmer, and I'm so sorry I can't compare it, but just take my word for it. That one is different, it's more yellowy, but I will also in the anniversary palette compare this minty green. This one is called Oaklandish. Here we have the orange capsule and the anniversary capsule. And again, I would love for the pink capsule shadow to be swatched here too, but I don't have it, just take my word. It's similar to this one, but it's more yellowy. All right, back to the orange capsule palette. We already discussed the shimmer blue, so we're gonna hop right on over to the red shade, which is called Young Blood. There are no other reds in the other capsule palettes, but I will compare it to Sugarpill's Love Plus single. I actually have this in my declutter bin because mine's getting just very old. It's not in its prime anymore, but I did dig it out to compare it for you guys. Here we have the orange capsule palette, and we also have Love Plus. Again, Love Plus isn't in its prime anymore. It's kind of old, so it's not the best swatch, but this is the orange one. It's more saturated, more of like a deep bloody red. I love this shade. And now we're about to round the orange capsule out. All we have left is the dark brown because we already discussed the blushes, these two shimmers, and this matte one in the previous swatches. This brown is called Double Shot, and there's literally nothing else like this throughout my Sugarpill collection. There are no other dark browns, barely even any light browns. This is the closest light brown, and that was more of like a very light neutrally shade, but I did still swatch it for you. Here's that brown shade from the orange palettes. I guess if you're someone who likes neutrals, here's your one neutral. All right, moving on now to the black capsule palette, and we're actually about to round this out too because the only things we haven't swatched are the shimmer orange and the shimmer pink, and there are no other shimmer oranges or shimmer like darker pinks like this in the whole collection, so let me just show you those. Some shimmer orange, shimmer pink for you. These colors next to each other are actually like super cute. But yeah, these are totally unique to themselves. No other shadows like it in my Sugarpill collection. And now moving on to the anniversary palette, we are actually done because we've gone over every single shadow that's already in this palette in previous comparison shots. So there you have it. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Well, hello, welcome back. How were the swatches? Was it helpful for you? Did it help clear things up? Did it help some decision making? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I feel like moral of the story is you guys should just trust me when I say there's not really dupes between the palettes because I feel like there really weren't. There was hardly anything that I felt like was super, super similar. Maybe a couple of the purples, maybe two of the blue shimmers were almost on the same spectrum, but I really truly felt like every single shadow had its own special like tone or range of depth, something like that. I don't feel like there was an exact dupe at all between anything. As far as cons go, I don't really have a con. I mean, I know the packaging bugs some people. A lot of people don't really like the mismatch of pan sizes, and I don't normally, but I feel like it's very cute. It's very fitting to the theme. And I don't know, I feel like there isn't a lot of wasted space even though there is different sized pans. It doesn't bother me that much, but if it's something that bothers you that bad, then just don't buy the palette. I don't know if I have any additional pros to mention that I didn't say in the beginning. I think that they're very easy to work with. I think they're beautiful. Again, the fact that it always gets my creative juices flowing is so exciting for me. Like we saw in the swatches, there aren't a whole lot of neutrals, so maybe it could be a con for you if you're someone who wants neutrals. The orange one is the most neutral out of the bunch, but I wouldn't even consider this a neutral palette. To me, this is a very like springtime appropriate palette. That's what I called it when it came out last spring. Okay, let's do some ranking. Oh man, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Okay, these were really hard to rank. The only thing I'm positive about is number 1, but I feel like all of my bottom 3 could be interchanged. Like, I love them all so much. But I did put the pink capsule as number 4, not just because I broke the shadow. I tried to be objective about that and pretended the shadow was still there. I do think this palette's really pretty. I just feel like, I don't know. I just feel like it all has a very similar color scheme. I don't know, there isn't as much range in the colors that there are in some of the other palettes, but I do still think this one's beautiful, like literally no problems with it. In 3rd place, I decided to rank the Anniversary palette. That's the gold one. It's the one I'm wearing right now. And again, I really don't have any problems with it. I just like the other 2 slightly more, but I was honestly debating putting this one as number 2. I'm really enjoying this one. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know what to say. I think the shimmers in here are all very special. I like that there aren't really repetitive shades in here, which again, there aren't really repetitive shades in any of these other than my number 1, which I'll get to in a minute. I don't know. I have no cons. I like this one a lot too. It's hard for me to like give my reasons why I like them. I have to go with what my heart wants. Rank number 2, I put the orange one. This one I unexpectedly fell in love with. I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would be as good as I think it is now. This is, again, my favorite blush out of all of them. I mentioned that during my swatches. The shimmers are all so pretty. I feel like, again, this is the more neutral-esque one, so maybe if you're scared of color, this is the one I'd probably recommend because we have a little bit more neutral-leaning things in the mattes. I mean, there are some straight-up neutrals, like we have these 2, and the other 3 can kind of be neutral-ish. I really like this little guy. I think it's very fun. But you know what? I feel like I actually do put the Anniversary as number 2 and this one as number 3. It's hard to decide. Number 1 I did put as my black capsule palette. You guys know I'm freaking obsessed with this. My only con with this one is I feel like we didn't need both of these shades because they're very similar, but one is a little more pinky, one is a little more purpley. They're not the exact same, but I don't feel like we needed both. But I love this palette. I don't know what to say. I think it's beautiful. It has those grungy tones that I love. I love the shimmers in here, especially that blue and purple. Something about this... Do you hear what I deal with on a daily basis right now? Goodness gracious. I can't wait to move. I feel like Hex and Ritual, the bluey shimmer and the purpley bluey shimmer, I feel like they're extra sparkly, like more so than the other palettes. You probably saw that in the swatches, but I don't know. I just like the grungy vibes. That's why I like the black one the most. And I also am very partial to the black packaging. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I really hope it was helpful. Hopefully it helped you make some decisions and just decide what to do. Maybe you just enjoyed this video even if you're not interested in the palettes, and I appreciate you watching. I'd love to know which capsule palette is your favorite, especially now that you've seen them all kind of compared against each other. Which one is your favorite, whether you have one or not? I'd also love to know if you're interested in buying any of them and which one you have your eye on the most. Just give me all the chats down in the comments. I love talking to you guys. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a heart emoji in your favorite color. And if you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please hop over to my Instagram. It's BeautBean. Follow me there. I post every single day. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm posting most days here as well. Please make sure you're staying informed with everything that's going on in the world. There will be links in my description box that will take you to information and resources and ways in which you can help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.